familiar face who you may remember. We featured her book, Build It, The Rebels Playbook for Employee Engagement. Deborah Cory in the UK. Deborah, you're up.
Oh, hi, thank you.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, nice to meet you. I have to say, I've probably on my own doing courses as an HR leader, probably sold 1 million copies of your book to people. It's high on my list. I do have to share a silly story, and it talks about what you talked about, differing based off of your people. When I moved to the UK from the US, about 3 months in, some brave employee told me that they had a Deborah Cory support group where they'd get together every Friday and share stories of how I had made them cry through my feedback. Now, of course, I hadn't read your book yet, but to me, it just showed the cultural differences. And in this day of diversity, inclusion, and belonging, I was just wondering if you could maybe take it a step further and talk a little bit about how do we deal with people who are so different in this world, to make sure that we do radical candor in the right way and we don't have these support groups.
Yes. Well, thank you for making yourself vulnerable and sharing that story. That is really hard to hear, and it speaks well of your leadership that someone felt safe enough to come and tell you that. So that's, I mean, that's 9 tenths of it right there, is to be open to the feedback about your feedback. It's very meta. And to begin, because it's, people hide how they're responding, you know, and so you've got to ask, like, people, you know, how is this landing for you? And if you're not sure how the person is responding to what you're saying, you know, take ownership. I'm not sure I'm saying this in the best way. Is there a way for me to say that better? So I think that's really important. I also, you know, if you write a book about feedback, you're going to get a lot of it. And some of the feedback I got came from I was at a tech company in San Francisco, and the CEO of that company is someone who I like and respect enormously, and one of too few Black women CEOs in tech. And she pulled me aside, and after I gave the talk, and she said, Kim, I'm excited about radical candor. I think it's going to help me build the kind of culture I want. But I got to tell you, it's much harder for me to put it into practice than it is for you. She explained to me that as soon as she would offer even the most compassionate, gentle, radical candor, she would get slimed with the angry Black woman stereotype. And I knew this was true. And as soon as she said it to me, I sort of realized a bunch of things at the same time. The first was that I had failed to be the kind of colleague that I imagined myself to be. I had failed to even notice the extent to which she had to show up unfailingly pleasant and cheerful at every meeting we were ever in together. When, believe me, she had what to be pissed off about in that period of time, as we all do, but she wasn't allowed to show it, and I hadn't even noticed. So I had not been an upstander, what I call in the book an upstander. I also failed to recognize the extent to which the things that had been happening to me as a woman in the workplace, because I never wanted to think of myself as a victim. But even less than wanting to think of myself as a victim, did I want to think of myself as a perpetrator. So I had been even deeper in denial about the things that I had done wrong, the things that I may have done that harmed the people who I work with. And last but not least, I realized as a leader, I had failed to create the kind of environment in which we could all just work, just get stuff done sense of the word, but also just in the justice sense of the word, where everyone had a fair opportunity to contribute to success. So I think that it is really important to remember that sometimes what happens is that people give what they think is feedback, but is not actually legitimate feedback. It's bias, prejudice, or bullying. And that's really the topic of my next book, Just Work, and would love to get your thoughts on it if you have time to check it out.
It is fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.